I'm saying you should try. But
no, you're not. No, you're not. No, you're not. Just to be clear, you're not. You're saying what you're saying is you can do nothing and that's okay. Maybe we should take a breather, figure out what went wrong. That's what I'm saying. That's all that I'm saying. I'm saying that you don't go on Tinder and start going at it again. No, I'm saying you should not, as a person, if this happened to you, you should not have casual sex again until you do some measure of understanding. You try your best to figure out what the fuck went wrong.
But it's really fucking hard for a lot of people when you say, like, I have the same position as X person, but the way they say it and the way you say it are entirely different, and
instance where in which you get sexually assaulted and you freeze.
Because I've had sex like since the sexual assault and I've been confident every single fucking time. Like if it happens to me, like say like, you know, next week or something, like I feel like I'm more confident that I can like not do it, but I can't be sure. So I can just say, hey, if you think you can do this, then you should be fine. Or if you trust the person enough that you don't think they're going to try and rape you, then you should be fine as well. I'm leaving that choice up to the person. Because I think your more information is doing a lot of heavy lifting in regards to like what we like actually can know about how someone's going to respond in the heat of the moment.
I'm not saying that you have to read the future. I'm saying that in whenever instance that you have.
That's what you're saying. I'm telling you the when you say information, it like that's a useless term to me. Just saying like you should know that how you're going to react. Like we don't.
Okay. No, it's not. I don't know if you're doing this on purpose. It is very clear in the context even that we're talking about this. There was an individual that participated in sexual activity where they were incapable of communicating and maintaining consent. That is obvious information as long as you're being a good faith interlocutor. That is obvious information that you are incapable of being able to maintain consent during sexual activity. Examine why that happened. Try your best to be able to better it. And if it never ends up fixing, then the best you can do is all you can do. That's it. I'm not saying for you to, like, you have to do it. I'm saying the best you can do is all you can do. Try your best to be able to rectify that situation. That's it. That's all I'm saying. Don't just say, oh, fuck it, who really cares? I don't have to try this because it's their fault at the end of the day.
People feel like they've done their best, and, like, I feel like most people think they're doing their best. Like,
sure.
like I'm saying this qualifier, like, it feels like relatively meaningless. Oh, once you think you're not going to be sexually assaulted or you think you can handle sexual assault. Yeah. I would say most people who engage like in sex feel like they can handle it, just in the moment that they can't.
So the reason why I believe the qualifier isn't completely meaningless is because there are currently people saying that you don't even have to reevaluate it in the first place. That is what is happening. That when somebody gave a simple thing, I'm letting you know because there was somebody that said, hey, if you are having casual sex, right, and you find yourself incapable of maintaining your boundaries that you have previously set, that you should be able to do that. And if you are incapable of being able to do that, if you're not capable of being able to do that, you shouldn't engage in sexual activity, which nobody should be able to disagree with. You shouldn't have to go through 900 different qualifying statements to be able to make something like that, because you shouldn't be engaging in casual sexual activity unless you do what you were saying previously, which is you just do the moral calculus. It's like, fuck it, whatever, you know, if I potentially get sexually assaulted, then I let it ride, right? There's not like a 98% chance that this happens.
That's not a fucking whatever. That's a person's like choice of like how they want to live their life.
I know. That's my point, though. It's not relevant to my critique. My critique is about whether or not you want to avoid getting sexually assaulted with every tool you have in your toolbox. And one of those tools is introspection as to why you're clamming up, why you're freezing up.
So if someone tells me this is the only place that I would be like where I would agree with you on this. All right.
My Discord, not yours.
If someone told me, hey, Hanz, I am 100% certain that if anything goes negatively, I will be completely incapable of doing anything. At that point, I would say you should probably reevaluate. For the people who are 100% certain that they won't be able to do anything, right? Like they can't speak, they'll become mute. But I would say every person on this planet who engages in sex thinks that they're going to be able to say, hey, if something bad happens, I'm going to be able to say it.
Yeah.
And so what I'm telling you then is, if that's the case, then we kind of already have your qualifier baked in where it's like, oh, hey, if I think I can like say push back or like tell people when something bad is going on, then I'm going to be able to do that. recognizing that in the heat of the moment, people are less capable.
So the reason I gave that qualifier is because you are characterizing my argument as being one wherein which if you have reason to believe that you might climb up like that, you should never be allowed to have casual sex ever again. You should have your card removed. No, what I'm saying is that you can take steps to be able to reasonably put yourself in a better position to avoid getting sexually assaulted into the future. That is what I am saying. Do you understand? And with those reasonable steps that individuals can take, I think that then I would say, yeah, if unfortunately you keep getting sexually assaulted over and over again, the best you can do is all you can do. And that's it. But the problem is, it feels like right now I can't even make that claim, because to even indicate that somebody should undergo some level of introspection before they engage in casual sexual activity, that to even state that you should not be having casual sex if you freeze up and you clam up, if somebody pushes over your boundary, unless you go through some introspection and some analyzing what went wrong, that you cannot do that unless you do that, that I'm getting so much pushback that of course I have to qualify it by saying the best you can do is all you can do, because the way you're making it sound is that I am saying that if you ever climb up once, you can never have sex again. I am not saying that. There is not, this is incredibly benign take.
But really, so the benign take is that yes, someone can always try and do better. But I feel like in this specific scenario, it's so hard to be able to qualify whether or not someone feels or knows or even who has a good, like, say, degree of faith in themselves that they're going to be able to say no, or that they're going to be able to stop that. I would say no. Please let me finish. I feel like virtually every person who engages in casual sex feels like they have the ability to say no. Yeah. I can't. I don't think we've had I don't think a hypothetical person exists who willingly throws themselves into sex knowing that they have a 0% chance of defending themselves or being able to say no. I don't think any person does that. So then what I'm saying is, it seems like the do your best and try and be better is what everyone is already doing. And you can say, hey, try and be better. But again, this goes back into the rhetoric thing, and I know you know this. When it goes regards to optic stuff, if we start a conversation about this, about how a woman is like a retarded child, okay, cool. So we understand that. So what I'm telling you is, it really feels
I'm
like
not saying. The problem is, I'm the only one saying you should do better. You are saying if you do nothing, that's okay, and I don't agree with that. That is the difference between our positions. Because
I'm saying you should try.
No, you're not. No, you're not. Just to be clear, you're not. You're saying what you're saying is you can do nothing and that's okay. That's what you're saying. Because if somebody says, I've gone through all of these experiences before and I'm climbing up and then I'm just going to keep having casual sex and not do any kind of introspection about it, then what would your response to that be? Because we already know what your response has been inside of this scenario. What would your response be?
I would say in regards to introspection, I would try and make sure that person's okay after a traumatizing experience. And then afterwards, I'd probably say, all right, so how'd it go? What happened? And then, I can probably give them a blow by blow.
What if they said, I'm not going to engage with that. I'm just going to keep doing casual sex. What would your prescription to that individual be? To stop having casual sex and do introspection about what just happened, correct? That would be, hey, maybe we should take a breather, figure out what went wrong. That's what I'm saying. That's all that I'm saying. I'm saying that you don't go on Tinder and start going at it again.
I promise, no one gets fucking raped and says, yo, I don't have to fucking change shit. I don't think any person doesn't think about what they could have done better or could have done been done wrong. I don't think any person does that.
Thank you. Welcome to my point. My point is literally no. My point is literally that I don't think anybody would disagree with this. The problem is it's being packaged in the worst way physically fucking possible. That's the only problem. It's just being packaged in a way that has you think that we're saying that, or that I'm saying that every single person that I engage inside of sexual activity is doing whatever. No, I'm saying you should not, as a person, if this happened to you, you should not have casual sex again until you do some measure of understanding. You try your best to figure out what the fuck went wrong. That's what you should do. That's what you should do. You should not engage in sexual activity again.
I feel like everybody already does that. When someone when an experience like this happens to somebody, they very rarely don't think about it at all, or think about what could have gone differently, what they could have done differently.
Okay, so if you agree with this, then you would agree with my point that we should not have casual sex after we have established that you having casual sex results
until they think they're ready, or if they, and okay, cool. So we agree. Like if a person thinks, okay, I've done my reflection, I'm fine. Cool. That's my point. If they think my point has always been, if the person thinks they're capable of handling it, they can do it. I literally said that, dude.
Okay, it's if the individual in question, right, just went through a sexual interaction in which they were incapable of being able to maintain the consent that they had established prior, and you have they know it, they acknowledge it, you acknowledge it, right, and they say, fuck it, I'm gonna get right back on Tinder and just go at it again without thinking about it at all. What would your prescription be? Precisely.
That's a bad idea. Yeah, like
welcome to the right opinion. There you go. That's it. You should not be having casual sexual activity
how is me saying think about like ways things can be better is different than me saying I have a different standard for what I expect somebody to be able to have. So I expect people to have a reasonable like confidence that they'll be fine. So
then let's try this. What is the difference between what you just said and I said? What is the difference between what you just agreed to that you would do and what I have said this entire conversation?
Because it seems like you keep saying that, you're taking all the information. People already take all the information, like in regards to this sort of stuff. It seems like you're giving what I would call nothing advice, instead of just saying like, just think about it and be better. Congratulations.
Listen,
I also think people should think about it and be better.
I don't disagree that I'm saying something that everybody already knows that they should be doing. The problem is, it feels like your position is that they should be okay with doing nothing. That is my point of contention. The point of contention is whether or not we should be okay with people having casual sex who have indicators that they are not capable of handling casual sex, and that they should take a moment and re-examine whether or not they do that, instead of just saying, oh, well, it's the guy or girl's fault who just pushed me into doing it, and then we're just going to continue on. It's like, yeah, they're a piece of shit. They're a piece of garbage for doing that, but you froze up. You clammed up. Let's talk about that. Let's figure out why that happened. Let's figure about why that happened. Because you know for a damn fact, and I've heard you talk about it before, there is a big problem with our culture trying to say, okay, somebody else did the problem, therefore I have nothing that I need to examine, I have nothing that I need to do, and nothing that I could do better. I did everything perfectly. Bullshit. Somebody may have sexually assaulted you, somebody is a piece of garbage and did that shit. But that doesn't mean that you can't do things to put yourself in a better position to be able to avoid that into the future. And that's what I'm asking for.
Cool. And then I hope someone like you saying that, as opposed to someone who's like a fucking lunatic about this. Because, dude, I'm telling you, you're unironically hurting people when you tell them that this way. Like, I get it.
Are you talking about what, my way?
Destiny, Jesus, dude, I'm really sorry.
I don't know.
I get it. You're not saying like a crazy fucking lunatic and laughing when someone says like they're getting fucking raped. Dude, I'm really happy that you're able to have this conversation, and I'm really sorry that I'm kind of fucking like angry and like
it doesn't matter to me. It's not relevant to me.
Okay, like I'm telling you, I'm sorry because you're chill. I like you. You're a friend of mine. This is a really fucking heated topic for me because it's really fucking hard, dude, and it's really fucking hard for someone who's had this happen to them. So have someone come from the fucking rafters and be like, "Yo, what's up, you retarded bitch? Why the fuck can't you just be better?" Like, cause dude,
I don't disagree.
A lot of people will like be hurt worse from that. And so if you agree with me that we should encourage people to be better in a positive way, and then let them make their own decision about whether they think they're capable, then cool, we can agree on that. I think the baseline for what I think is like a good enough spot for someone to get in is that they can think they can do it, and they're able to communicate with other people. That's fine. But like, dude, it actually fucking matters. And I know that we're debate broing this, and like I appreciate that. But it's really fucking hard for a lot of people when you say like, I have the same position as X person, but the way they say it and the way you say it are entirely different, and I'm sorry for like getting heated right now because like everyone, I know everyone's gonna like laugh at me because I'm soy and stuff, but like guys, it's really fucking hard, okay? Yeah, really, I'm gonna be real with you for a second, okay? I'm gonna be real with everybody for a second. It's like, it is terrible when this happens to somebody, and I'm telling you that every person that you talk to, every person, they make sure you're okay, and then they ask you what happened. What'd you do? And yeah, people are gonna hug box the fuck out of you because you had something terrible happen. And it does matter the way you say stuff like this. And I know I'm crying, that's fine, right? Because this sort of shit is really difficult, and most people don't know how they're gonna react. And every fucking dipshit, fake, sexless gigachad in chat who says, "Oh, I'll just stop it when it happens to me," I want to meet you in a corner, and you tell me to stop after I have you a bloody mess on the fucking ground.
In a video game, of course.
In a video game. Because holy shit, there is zero fucking empathy from so many people, all right? And I know that you don't do this, but so many people have, and I'm telling you, it's really, really fucking hard when people are just like, oh, they say the worst shit, and then they're like, oh no, bro, I'm just making Relly's point. It's like, I'm just trying to tell people to be better. No, you're fucking not. You are a performative asshole who likes looking down on people and kicking them. And it's fucking horrible. And it sucks. All right? Because every person agrees with you that, yeah, you can behave more optimally. And you should be reasonably confident that things aren't going to happen to you. Because most people are. And it still fucking happens to us.
Okay.
I just want you to understand that, because I know there are a lot of people, and myself included, who might not be making the best arguments for this, because I do stand by the idea of like, hey, if you think you can handle it and you think you're able to communicate, then go nuts. But like, let's not pretend, and I'm not accusing you, and I'm not accusing Destiny of just like being fucking rape apologists, right? I'm not fucking saying that. I've never fucking said that. People who are accusing me of that are fucking stupid, and I'll fight them too. All right? But let's not pretend that the people that are essentially of your position, making it in the worst possible way, aren't actively hurting people.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I want to defend the rhetoric, especially of Twitter Destiny, But I'm not going to defend that rhetoric. Like I said before, I use that as a litmus test for people that are just simping for him. It's his online, especially Twitter specifically, is where you can really see it. It's counterproductive. It's simply counterproductive, right? So I'm not going to defend that position. What I'm defending is the core idea, because I think that's it.
The issue with your core idea,
yep,
is that it's virtually impossible to, because every person who tells you they're going to have casual sex feels like they're confident in being able to handle it. Sure. I don't think any person who's willing to put themselves in that environment thinks they can't handle it. So it feels like nothing advice when someone just says like, you should just be better. Because like, yeah, I agree with you. We should just be better.
No, the problem is, and I know you agree with this, there is cultures, not even just in regards to sexual activity, but even we could talk about racial interactions as well, right? When it comes to sexual activity, where because somebody did something wrong, like sexual assault or rape, that means that no party besides that individual can nothing better could have ever been done. You know this exists. I know you know this exists. Where people will say, well, because somebody has sexually assaulted you, that means you could have done nothing better to be able to maximize your chances of staying safe. You could have done. I said this on my stream and react. In
the moment that person needs that. I'm sorry. I know.
I don't disagree with you. This is especially after somebody immediately does this. This is not the time to fucking tweet about it or to at them especially and start talking about, well, you could have done this better. That is completely inappropriate. I do not disagree with you. Somebody comes through talking about they got fucking, I don't know, touched like by somebody or something, and you start talking about like, hey, listen, what were you doing and shit like that is inappropriate to do, right? I agree with it more in a general sense from like outside parties to do to talk in generalities. I agree. And only in specific moments would I ever talk about like, hey, listen, somebody was just raped. Here's what you could have done. And here's something else you could have done. Only in very specific moments, right?
Okay, but then we know that conversation is impossible online because that's never going to happen. There's never there's never going to be an organic situation where we're not using someone as an example, where there isn't like a reason for the discourse to start.
Absolutely, I mean, I agree with you. That's going to be 99% of the time. But in our day-to-day general content, we can springboard off of things. I do it all the time, where we'll like pull a fucking Hassan, Richard Wolf type a rant where we talk about one thing and then now we're on to fucking 19 different connected strands of things, and then we use it as a springboard for things. We're watching a goddamn Jubilee video and the next thing you know we're talking about the USSR, right? We know what we know that there can be springboarded conversations, and we can put out general consistent messages that are in line with something that we believe. I'm just advocating for that. I'm trying to avoid the thing that I'm trying to avoid, and it feels like this is what I was talking to my stream earlier, that if we wanted to make the argument that people should keep their drinks safe at clubs, we wouldn't be able to do that in 2022. I truly don't believe that we would be able to do that because that'd be victim blaming. I'm trying to avoid that kind of mentality that we get into where we can no longer give advice to people on how to keep themselves safe, because at the end of the day, they'll view everything as you were sexually assaulted or you were victimized in any way, racially, whatever shit. Therefore, there can be nothing that you did nothing wrong, or you could have never done anything better, right? And I want to avoid that. I want to be able to say, this shit sucks. Maybe we should create a standard of keeping our drinks safe at clubs. Maybe we should keep a standard of doing this. Maybe we should keep a standard of that. I want to be able to do that.
And Relly, I can agree with you on the, like, easily, like, for those points, right? We're like, oh, hey, keep your drinks covered. Don't leave them alone. Be careful when you see somebody, right? But what I'm telling you is there is a different level when it comes to an interaction where there is a physical aggressor coming at you or doing something that you are uncomfortable with. That is a different, and no, 1 second, that is a different expectation. And I would say every person who has that, up until then, they probably were just doing things that they thought were that were normal, right? Like if you say let's say you have 10 Tinder matches and you hook up with all of them, and like not in 9 of the times it was fine, and the 10th time was fucked. Like you talked to each person for a week, you met them a couple times in public places, you thought they were a normal person. Like those things aren't wrong. And then it so happens that like when you have sex with the 10th person, something bad happens.
Okay, so I don't disagree that everyone thinks that they're doing things well. I don't disagree with that. But do you agree, because I don't think I got a concrete thing, do you agree that there is absolutely a culture of people saying that if you were victimized, that you did everything perfectly no matter what because you were victimized? Do you believe that there is a culture of that right now?
I'd say there's a culture of focusing entirely on the victim's pain and trying to make sure that they're okay, which can be to the detriment of them improving.
Okay,
right?
so we can categorize it that way if you'd like.
I think that's an important difference, because most of the time, I would say that people who have these things happen to them, they didn't do anything quote unquote wrong.
You sure?
Yes, they could have just done some things.
I mean, sure
better.
means yes, but I feel like you were I was agreeing with you, but yeah.
So sorry. I didn't mean to be. I'm not trying to be hostile. Also, some people in your chat are fucking psychopaths. I'm really sorry. But a lot of those things aren't, say, inherently wrong. And I would say for part of why I'm okay with my position where it's at, that those people do have the caveats, or do have some caveats that I would say at that point, if you do communicate beforehand, if you are capable of communicating during, if you didn't communicate beforehand, I would say you, with that level of communication, are vastly superior to the vast majority of people who have sex. And at that point, I would absolutely, once they meet that baseline, I would be 99.9% pushing to make sure that person's okay before I start finding things to criticize about.
I don't. We're talking about the rhetoric. Okay, it's not about the rhetoric to me, right? Rhetoric is incredibly important. It's, as I said, it's 95% of everything, right? It's 95% of everything is rhetoric. It's unbelievably important, but the rhetoric can be critiqued and modified at a different time. What matters is whether or not at the core it is a good idea, and then we can work on the rhetoric, right? So if we get the core of the idea being good or bad or whatever, then we can work on the rhetoric, right? So if the idea, right, is, because I genuinely believe that we agree then, right? If you have established that there is a culture of focusing on the pain, potentially at the detriment of learning any lessons or making any improvements on how we interact with our lives from day to day, I am just specifically trying to avoid that exact thing from happening when it comes to situations like this.
Excellent. Then the important thing is that explicitly means that it's more than just rhetoric, that the strategy with how we communicate this is extremely important. Because first we should probably make sure that person is okay before we do the criticisms.
I agree.
Yes, even if they're stupid and they post it on a public platform, you absolutely should have the context. You should make sure the person's okay before you do that sort of stuff, before you do the criticism, unless we're just doing general advice, which is just be better, be able to communicate, don't get raped. Congratulations. I say the same thing. Like,
the problem is is exactly what we addressed before, right? Which is that it feels like we cannot give advice to people who have been victimized, or general advice as a result of a victimization right now. It feels that way. It feels that we can't do that. I genuinely am of the belief, maybe you disagree, I truly believe we would not be able to get the advice out that you should keep your drinks safe inside of a club if that shit was just starting in 2022. We would not be able to do it. I'm firmly of that belief. I believe it is. I think you get laughed on the fucking internet for victim blaming the kingdom. Excuse me, Kingdom Come. I think that's 100% the case. And maybe that's going to be the primary disconnect, is the relevancy for us to believe that advice or things can be given online right now. Because if you are of your belief that prevalence is not very prevalent at all, it's not prevalent for us to ignore comprehensive advice for people to be able to keep themselves safe sexually. If you believe that that's not super compromised in today's society, I could imagine your positions follow quite suit. This whole conversation with Destiny follows quite suit with that opinion. If I believe that these things would sort themselves out naturally, I wouldn't really have an issue. But I don't believe that these things will sort themselves out naturally. I think people will make every excuse for why this shouldn't need to be done, because at the end of the day, it should be the people's responsibility to not sexually assault people, right? And I think this is ridiculous.
I get that, really, but like someone said it in chat, but I wanted to ask as well. Do you think there's ever times in which giving good advice, even good advice, is like unwarranted or unhelpful?
I already agreed to that 5 or 6 different times in the past 10 minutes.
Okay, cool. So then, yeah, we can have these conversations. I do disagree that, like, I think there's a level of responsibility that I would say most people are like pretty much okay with, that you can do to prevent things. But I would say that it's a different capacity to say, hey, don't have your drink covered or have someone watch your drink when you're away, than saying you should be confident, like having a verbal confrontation with someone who's explicitly pushing past your boundaries. I think those are very different things. And I would say that I'm extremely comfortable telling you, yo, cover your fucking drink. Hey, like, tell your friends where you're going. Hey, like, you probably late at night, if you're a tiny person, shouldn't be walking alone. There's things you can say, but when you're in a situation where you're actively being aggressed upon, I'd say it's very, very different. And I think people who disagree with that, they just don't understand the context.
The problem
of the
is you don't disagree with me at the root of it. We already agreed fundamentally. You said that if somebody said, hey, like, I'm in a situation in which I froze up after one of these sexual interactions, you would say maybe we shouldn't have casual sex until we figured out what went wrong here. You've already, I mean, unless you want to say otherwise. You agree with that position, correct?
When you say what went wrong, I wouldn't say until we figure out what went wrong. I would say until the person feels like they're comfortable, like, doing it again. And if they do, like, I'm not a mind reader in the same way that, like, someone who's like having casual sex and, like, gets sexually assaulted wasn't able to mind read the person who sexually assaulted them. If someone tells me, yo, Hanz, I'm capable of doing this, how am I how should I know? Can I be like, oh, hey, if someone, like, shoves a dick in your ass, are you gonna say no? And they're like, yeah, Hanz, I'll say no. And then they go out, like, okay, like, case closed. Like, what am I supposed to say to them? If they tell me they can handle it, what am I supposed to say? Like,
the point of my example is to bring up whether or not you would be. I could put it in a friend context, maybe that would help you more. But, like, in the context, I like to imagine it in the context of a friend. Let's say I have a friend who is sexually assaulted. I have had one who's sexually assaulted, right? And then or more specifically, it doesn't have to even be sexual assault. It could just even be a friend who is engaging in any kind of activity that you could give advice to, right? Talking to them about, hey, do you make sure that this is going down this way? In this specific instance, hey, do you know what happened when this happened? Do you know, like, maybe what you could do to help improve the situation? Could we, like, maybe talk about only having sex with people you trust a little bit more and see maybe if this is consistent in that situation? Maybe you shouldn't be having as much casual sex before you figure out what is going wrong. And these suggestions, I want to know if you would do that instead of just saying, well, fuck it, just you go keep having sex, who cares? Right? That's what it's really about, is whether or not we're
I don't think I'd ever just say fuck it, keep having sex. I would say if you feel like you're confident, then go ahead. That's what I would be comfortable saying. And if I knew the person more intimately, like maybe like not a random stranger, I'd probably be like, hey, like, do you feel confident about this? Like, do you want to talk about what happened? Like, what's going on with that? Those things matter. And so, yeah, I'm comfortable like saying, I would never watch someone or like see someone get sexually assaulted and then say, get back out there, you dumb fuck. Like, get out there right fucking now. And people, like, I've seen people strawmanning me with that, and it kind of hurts my feelings. And where it's like, I would ask them, do you feel comfortable and confident doing this? Do you want to talk about what happened? Do you want to, like, hear some advice about, like, what's going on? And if they say, no, I handled it, I fixed it myself, things are fine, like, I'm confident, then I don't know what else I can say beyond, like, all right, if you think you can handle it, go ahead.
All I am asking is that we encourage people to do at the back end of what you said, just that. I'm handling it. I fixed it, is what the words that you use. That's what I'm asking, is that we encourage people to undergo some examination of the processes that brought them to that. That's it. And it feels like there's quite a bit of pushback against the very idea in and of itself, that we should be introspective, and that, hey, guess what? The simple claim, you should not be having casual sex if you have reason to believe that during casual sex, you cannot maintain consent. That simple idea.
Cool, so I agree with you. But like, but the thing is, every person thinks they can deal with it if they're in that position, unless they're like extremely broken in a different way. No, I don't think any person.
Okay, so hold on. If that's the claim, then why would you disagree with the claim in general? If you think everybody believes that, then why would you disagree with it?
No, because the reason why most people are disagreeing with this is, again, the explicit attacks on the people who are like saying that like bad things are happening, or like the way that you treat the people who are experiencing this. Those things matter. If we're actually trying to improve people's lives, if you gave your take in response to that person, I don't think this discourse would be happening right now.
What do you think is the difference at the core of my take to what Destiny's take was?
You have to understand that even if like at the core it's the same as like, oh hey, don't like.
Okay,
do
so
this.
It is the rhetoric. That's all I want to hear. Is it the rhetoric, or is it the core of the issue? That's all I want to know. That's all I care about.
One of the problems I have. We've already talked about like the other like position difference that I have, but yeah, the rhetoric and issues about this absolutely do matter. And I know like we're all like like gigabrain like no emotion like people on this like platform, but yeah, like that does matter. To the point where like rhetoric actually makes your points worse. It actually hurts the people you're trying to help, and it actually makes the conversation worse, because now we're like fighting and schizoing out between people who are saying that Destiny and like you are like defending rape, and then people like me are like throwing people to the fucking rape gangs. Like, yeah, congratulations. Like we made the discourse worse. I don't think I've done that. I don't think I've accused you or Destiny of doing that. Destiny did accuse me of doing that. So like, yeah, I guess we are like making this conversation worse. We are making this discourse like hurt more people.
Okay. I just wanted to know if the core of the issue was we had any disagreements, because ultimately that's really what I care the most about for me personally. I think the rhetoric is probably better handled by other people. I'm not super good at rhetoric, nor am I massively inclined to figure out how to get super better at rhetoric. I personally, to the extent that I want to examine rhetoric is to the extent that I want to see whether or not somebody is going to be honest about their positions. Like, I wanted to have a talk with Destiny, I might, about his rhetoric inside of this situation, because I was willing to bet, and it looks like I was right.
He's just going to say he doesn't care.
Right, I know he probably will. He will, but like I know that he will. But I want to know how this factors in to his moral justifications for how this shit went down. Because as I was willing to bet, and it seems like it's primarily the case, it's primarily the rhetoric that caused a lot of problems inside of this situation. Not actually the core of the point. If you steelman his position, I think it's pretty damn good.
Okay,
right?
cool. Then I don't. Why do I have to steel man his position for him? He should be able to steel man himself and then not constantly
I
complain
don't
about people
disagree.
taking him
I'm never
out
gonna
of context when he
Yep.
constantly refuses to qualify his stuff, and then he goes back to your position, which again, it's not technically a Mott and Bailey, but it really feels that way when like saying like, oh hey, everyone who like doesn't do this is like really fucking stupid. I'm trying to say the R slur less. I've been saying it a lot in the last couple like 24 hours, and it's bad for me. But so it does make it worse, and I appreciate that you're better at this, but I would say that these people don't seem to be like capable of having these conversations in a way that's productive. Because I don't think this is like a productive thing.
I'm never gonna defend Destiny's Twitter rhetoric unless he's talking about, I don't know, something benign. Even his fucking ice cream cone takes are inflammatory, right?
I don't care about this. Like I'm not mad at D. I'm a little frustrated, but like it just I don't
I'm not
particularly
mad at
care.
him either. But like what I'm saying is like the rhetoric is pretty indefensible, right? It's
Yeah, it's
not
absolutely
yeah.
indefensible.
And so
But like
I'm not, and
I'm not. I
so
don't. We
we
don't have
don't
to do this. Like
disagree.
I don't care about circle jerking on this. All right. We
Okay.
do. I do think we have like a disagreement on like we if so. So are you comfortable with the thing where it's like, oh, if someone thinks they're capable of doing it, they've said they've done the introspection, we're okay with sending them out?
Yeah, I mean, I would have some tips, personal tips that are personalized to that individual, but as a
I would
general
do the
statement,
same.
yeah, like
Okay.
without knowing the individual on an interpersonal level, yeah, I would say so. Yeah.
Okay. Because if we're then I want to be clear. If we're going to say that is the same thing as be sure, like the person has to be like complete, like has to be confident that they can do that, then maybe we have a similar position. Because I think if someone's confident enough to have sex, that they think they're able like to have those conversations.
I
I've
agree.
I've never met a person who says I'm going to engage in sexual activity and be unwilling to not be able to communicate. It's just I would say that the bar for a lot of the situations is the bar for that specific interaction is extremely high, and no one can know what they're going to do until that happens to them. Even if
Sure.
it, and even if it happens to you like once, like having that experience, I don't think it particularly has trained me to be better at like stopping it like in the future.
Sure.
I honestly don't think it does. I think that's like the
But
I think the experience itself doesn't make you better about like stopping it. I think it's just like a
but
it,
now you are aware of an issue that is present. And being aware of an issue in the first place is necessary to be able to even stop the issue. Right?
like wait, sorry, can you say that again? I got distracted.
You are now aware of an issue, and in order to stop an issue, you need to first be aware of an issue.
I mean, in my specific case, I don't think it matters because I did tell the person to stop and they kept going, and
Okay,
I
sorry.
was unable to
I'm
physically
speaking.
fight
I'm
them.
speaking in
I'm so,
generalities.
sorry, I didn't mean. And maybe that's why I don't think it's like as valuable because if we're all just like spitballing about hypotheticals, like being able to say no to a person like who's like assaulting you, normally doesn't make them stop. So,
And I want it to be said. This only applies for being awkward, or like you being socially incapable of doing it. If you believe that you're gonna get like, if you have reason to believe, if you have information, I know you're gonna say that's doing a lot of heavy lifting, but if you have information to believe that somebody will physically assault you, if you say no, then obviously that's gonna take precedent over like any of this. Right? This
okay,
just has
so
to do with whether or not you're too socially awkward or shy or whatever to be able to assert your
all right,
boundaries.
okay, so maybe we can go through a hypothetical, right?
Sure.
And I want you to tell me where the better thing could have happened.
Uh huh.
So you match with somebody on Tinder,
Uh huh.
you go see them
Mm-hmm.
after say a week and a half of talking. You meet them, you're hanging out, start hooking up. You've agreed to like no ass stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then they're sucking your dick, and they shove a finger in your ass,
Mm-hmm.
and then you say no, stop, and you take it out of your ass,
Mm-hmm.
and they do it again, and they grab your balls, and you freeze up. Up until that point, what is wrong with what that person did?
I wouldn't really say anything.
Ex- exactly. So for a lot of victims, they can do technically everything right, and people just telling them do better is completely unhelpful, because a lot of situations are like that. And I'll give you a secret. That was my situation. So like, it's very hard when people are like, oh, like, did you plan this? Did you do that? Most people are normally relatively careful. They're like, oh, hey, like, they can talk about their boundaries. They can say no. They can talk about those things. And they take the precautions, whether it's like waiting like a decent period of time before you meet that person, agreeing upon things beforehand, letting people know where you're going. Like, people do all those things, and it still happens to them. And so I'd say most people do those things. And I can say, yeah, we should do those things. But a lot of times, saying that when people already do that, like,
so
does not.
Hold on. But in the instances that we know of, where in which people do not do those things, would you say that they were wrong for not doing those?
I don't.
So let's stay.
The only thing I didn't the only thing I could say that I did wrong is that I wasn't willing to physically fight that person.
No. I'm not stating your situation. I'm stating in the
but would you say that's wrong? Would you say that I did something wrong, that I should have been able to?
No, physical violence is obviously on another level than literally just saying to somebody to stop.
So if someone says no and the other person keeps going, they should just let themselves be raped.
If you fear for your physical safety, then yes, I believe that is better to do than potentially getting yourself killed or physically hurt. Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
I agree.
In the instance, but what I was referring to previously was instances like, let's say somebody doesn't keep their drinks safe, whether they get drugged or not. Would you say that individual is wrong for having done that? That they should have done something else?
I would say that action is inherently neutral, and that someone took advantage of that, and they could have been more defensive. I would give that, like, say, if I was rating it like a -1 to a 1 scale, I would say leaving your drink is a 0. I would say keeping active watch of your drink is a 1, and giving your drink to somebody. So I'm talking about in relation to us trying to avoid getting sexually victimized. Is that the wrong action? Is that an incorrect action to take, with our primary directive being avoiding sexual victimization? Is that a wrong action to take, or is that a right action to take? Like, not leaving your drink unattended, that is a good action to take, to make sure that, like, to keep a watchful eye on that. That is a good thing.
And then
most people would agree that
the opposite would be, right? What?
No, those are different things. And
okay, so the opposite would be neutral?
Yeah, yes, because it takes a negative actor to make that into a negative thing. It takes.
Do you think it's wrong to drive your car without your seatbelt?
If you're worried about your personal safety, like, it's a suboptimal thing.
Okay,
yeah.
I think this is okay. So yes, it is wrong.
You can say that something is suboptimal, but, like, it's not explicitly wrong.
Okay, so this is a semantics argument then. I would just refer to this as being wrong. If your primary axiom is to keep yourself safe in the car, you buckle up. You are doing a wrong action if you do not buckle up. This is semantic. It's pure. We have no difference of opinion whatsoever. You're using the word suboptimal. I'm using the word wrong. You could argue that rhetorically there is a difference.
Wrong implies negative.
Yes, I believe it is a negative thing to drive without your seatbelt on. I believe it is a negative thing to leave your drink unattended, because there's disproportionate outcomes that lead towards sexual victimization and disproportionate outcomes to you being a splattered mess along the pavement. I believe both are incorrect and wrong actions. Yes, I would personally believe this, but again, this is just going to be a semantics thing, or more specifically, it might get into rhetoric here. I might be having a rhetorical failure here. When I'm saying wrong, you could argue that it places unjust negative or retribution, or you know what I'm saying. You get what I mean. Unjust feelings or negativity towards the victim. You could say that. But to be fair, I would say this even if you were a victim or not. And I've done this before. When people have left their drink out, I'm like, man, what the fuck is wrong with you? You left your drink out there, bro. What the fuck is wrong with you? Then ain't nothing happened. But, I'll say some shit like that, right? And I'll give people that critique. But anyway, the point is
right, and that's fine. And I'll be right there with you, saying this is a really easy thing that you can do to make things better for yourself. But I would say that the spectrum of things to make things better for yourself is massive, and
I don't disagree.
And so I have a lot I'm a lot more okay because I think that like the weight of that matters. I'm a lot more okay saying, yo, cover your drink. If you don't, it's kind of dumb, compared to saying, oh, hey, you should have been able to say no verbally while you were being assaulted.
So I wouldn't say, I would never say that.
I
would never say that.
Would you say that one's harder, right? One's harder, like
Well,
a
yeah,
lot
of course.
harder.
Yeah, one's
Okay,
obviously
cool.
a lot harder.
So cool. Like, so I think that like it's kind of like hard to say, oh yeah, like just do the good thing, when in a lot of cases, and like, oh, I should be able to criticize someone for doing let's use your thing, like doing a wrong thing, when in a lot of cases the wrong thing or the right thing is a lot harder. It's a lot easier to keep track of your drink. It's a lot harder to say, yo, please stop assaulting me.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that.
To the point where those things are like, I would say, to the point where those things are virtually incomparable. Like,
I don't think that's true at all. We have multiple things that are on a massively different. We have multiple things that are on massively different ends of like okay or not okay that like fit the same thing. Like you could say no means no even when I'm picking the certain type of ice cream that I mean, including when it comes to sexual interaction. I think that you can compare things that are fall along the line of similar principles even, but that might be entirely different. I think this is also why we can have extreme analogies. If that was true, that because something has such negative consequences compared to something else, we couldn't potentially have many different extreme analogies to certain things that we have day to day. And I think that's just something that we have.
I understand what you're saying, but in terms of say practical application, it's virtually impossible. In the sense, it's like me saying, like me deadlifting, say 400, like say 500 pounds is hard for me, right? Mm-hmm. Me deadlifting 1,000 pounds is impossible. Like there's no, like unless I start like roiding out and like taking my training a lot more seriously, I'm never gonna fucking touch that. And so when someone says, yo, Hanz, like you should deadlift more, I'm like, okay, yeah, that's good advice. And when someone says, oh, hey, you should be like deadlifting 1,000 pounds, I'm like, motherfucker, like that's not gonna like happen, or it's so hard that it's virtually impossible. Or sorry, let's say it's like, let's take like a reasonable goal then, because it's still possible to say no, right? Let's say maybe it's like 550, or like I don't know what my max is right now, right? But like something like that's like that I'll probably come close to like fucking killing myself trying to do it, right? Like it's so different in regards to like how you would have to respond, that I just don't think advice in that situation is comparable. Like me saying don't leave your drink unattended is a lot more different than me saying, yo, dude, just fight if you're a rapist, right? Like those things are like completely fucking different. I don't think we treat them the same, and we shouldn't treat them the same.
I don't think, well, first off, the fighting off was even more extreme, and I would argue significantly more extreme than...
I was using an extreme analogy, sorry, like that was also...
Well, sure, but...
I'm not trying to fuck with you.
Okay, so I do not think that asking that somebody stop doing something that you have established is one of your boundaries in sexual activity, asking them to stop doing that is out of line or out of pocket.
That's a good thing, but if someone isn't capable of doing that in the moment, I won't hold it against them, no.
I would say, would you say that somebody who's incapable, and we'll just end it here, somebody that's incapable of doing that, and is shown to you in a casual sexual relationship is not capable of doing that, would you recommend that person continue casual sexual behavior, or would you say that they should stop engaging in casual sexual behavior if the goal is to reduce sexual victimization? I feel like that went without saying, but this should be the goal. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I got distracted. Like the Vaush are attacking me on Twitter.
Of course. We were trying to talk about like whether or not like in Vaush's coverage, if he's gonna hate Destiny enough to like stop hating you, or whether or not he's just gonna find a way to keep hating both of you. Like
I think he's gonna be Destiny is a monster and Hans is an idiot, right?
Yeah, some shit like that.
That's gonna be the move. And the reason why they're turning on me now is because I didn't. I said that he's wrong, and I think he's an asshole, but I'm not disavowing him. So
amazing. The classic bridge burn has to be done.
Everyone was expecting the bridge to be burned, but I just I didn't want to, and also I think the space of Destiny being wrong is almost is like the two main points of like hit the rhetoric. And then I think he falls into like a lot of the same stuff that you do, where it's like I think the having information does a lot of heavy lifting, but I don't think that's worth like canceling or burning the bridge over. But I would say
either way, it's a fucking ridiculous strategy.
But what I would say is like the way he's handled this like discourse has been completely irresponsible, and he didn't. There's no reason he had to do it this way, but he chose to do it. So like he kind of made his own bed there. So like I'm sorry, buddy, but like I'm not, you know.
Sure.
I'm just saying, all right. A lot of his hot takes, and people said he was spicy to me during our debate because he just played a game of League. Why are you making excuses? He should have behaved more optimally.
True.
He shouldn't have let his League play make him a bat like angry, right, or rude. So, but True. It's like
maybe he shouldn't be playing League and having a conversation at the same time if he can't, properly communicate his positions. Just saying. Just saying.
Yeah. It's oh god, Destiny and Vaush are fighting now. That's gonna be fun. I as you can probably tell, this is kind of like a specific thing with me. And maybe everyone's right. Maybe I am just responding to tone like a dog, and it like really hurts my feelings. And people are like saying that I'm triggered. Yeah, guys, I am triggered. Like when people just say don't get raped, five head, as a person who has been sexually assaulted, especially someone who did all the things right, like in Destiny's based advice, it's really fucking hard. All right, I'm really sorry that I let my human emotions color my position and experience here. Like, so.
Okay. All right, buddy.
Wait 1 second. Wait 1 second. Someone I'm gonna do an infrared meme. I am crying. I am triggered. I am 100% that Angloid. But
speaking of that, actually, that was gonna be the final question that I asked you. Do you just say how much you weigh, or is that like too personal?
Oh no, I can weigh myself right now. I normally fluctuate between about between 240 like 2-ish and about 250.
Oh, who the fuck said I was wrong? Who the fuck said I was wrong? I want people banned who said that I was wrong, dude. We were talking because you memed about it instead of the Destiny conversation that you had about like fighting for whoever needs to change their name, right? And I was saying like there's no way that Haas would ever be able to like even get to an even playing field, considering you're like what 7 or so inches taller than him and you weigh like 60 pounds more than him or something.
Infrared's what, like a 5'7" and 180.
I think he's
I'm 6.
5'6", but yeah.
What 5'6"? How tall is Destiny again, right? So Destiny's slightly taller, right? So
yeah.
Giga Chad Infrared is 5'7", and he says that he's 180, but like that bitch gets like leg day. He's probably 170 at best. But I'm 6'3", and I fluctuate between like 242 and 250. So like I have, what's the word? That is 8 inches on him, and I also have 8 inches on him other places.
Come on, bro.
And I'm at least 80 pounds heavier than him on a good day.
That would be a boxing match, bro. That would be a boxing match.
Okay, Infrared, open invitation, buddy. All right, like I don't want to go to jail for fucking murder. Can we please do this in a sanctioned place? Because I have a great fucking IRL career that I hope I haven't ruined by doing this discourse, and I don't want to ruin by putting you in the hospital. So please, like if you are a man, all right, time and place, I will take some of my limited vacation days at my Sigma Grindset job to fly out and beat the ever-loving fuck out of you, as long as I have your consent. So please, just do it for me. And this is open for anybody. If you talk shit to Relly, if you talk shit to any other fucking streamer, I will be their champion in a trial by combat, and I'll turn you fucking inside out. So like,
in a sanctioned boxing match.
In a sanctioned boxing match that you have agreed to.
That you have consented to, of course.
Like, but yeah, dude, he's gonna puss out. He's gonna run away from me like he ran away from Dylan.
He ran away from Dylan though. Do you have boxing experience?
No, but I do. I did buy a boxing bag for exercise at my when I had an apartment in Florida, and I couldn't go to the gym because of COVID, so I bought a like a heavy bag, and I did boxing like as cardio for like 2 months, and there's a pretty spooky video of me punching a bag. I'm looking like huge as fuck. So if I might post that just to fuck with the video.
I asked because the reason he backed down of Dylan shit was because Dylan had experience, and if you don't have experience, he's probably literally just gonna be like, dude, like he's got too much reach, bro. Oh no, dude.
Arms. Like,
yeah.
Let me just be real for a second. Like I have the utmost respect for someone who gets their fucking ass beat, okay? Like,
True.
no shade. Like, it's like, I can't fight. I've been in fights to know that I don't know how to fight. I had a friend in high school. He was like 130 pounds. But he was also like a regional wrestling champion, right? He beat the fuck out of me. Like, there's nothing wrong with losing a fight. There is a problem with being a fucking bully and picking on people who you think you can beat, and when it turns out they might beat your ass, you run away like a bitch.
True.
That's the problem.
True.
That's the problem. I don't care if you lose a fight, Haas. I care that you like you were willing to fight Dylan until you found out you were probably going to lose. I messaged Dylan this, and I'll make another declaration. I want to show Haas that you don't need experience to fight Dylan. So Dylan, I already told him this, but yo, Dylan, if you ever want to do a charity boxing match, because I know people can play that up because we have like our own like stuff. I'll totally fight Dylan and let him beat the shit out of me, and we can have the proceeds go to charity and let Haas know that you don't need experience to not be a pussy and fight Dylan Burns. So
that's spot.
Yeah. Like also, I know this got kind of heavy, and like I'm sorry for looping, I'm sorry for like that sort of shit, but like this is like a pretty important thing for me, and I feel like I'm gonna be soy for a second. I really think that with few exceptions, people on your side do not treat this with the sort of gravity and respect that it deserves.
I get it.
And even if we like agree on like 5% of this take, I will fight you like in looping circles forever on the last 5%. And so.
Okay. All right, listen, buddy. All right, no matter how whatever any of these conversations get, you need to remember, okay? I grew up playing Dota, all right? I was like screaming obscenities at people for an hour, and then as soon as we got back into lobby, we were back to being amicable friends the moment after. Okay, I can take heat, all right? Much love.
I got you. Thanks, buddy.
All right, bye.
Have a good one. Infrared, you a bitch.
All right. Okay. All right.